Hi, I'm Ben Treat. I'm the director at the Bangor Public Library, and we're doing some book reading during this this time when we're out of school and daycare and the library's closed. We're reading books aloud and putting it on the internet. So I'm reading a book that's been dear to me ever since my parents read it to me when I was a little kid, and now I'm reading it to you. It's Owl at Home by Arnold Lobel. This was published in 1975, so it's just slightly older than I am. And it was published by HarperCollins. And you can see there are several stories in here. I'm only going to read two of them to you. This first one is called Tearwater Tea. Owl took the kettle out of the cupboard. Tonight I will make tearwater tea, he said. He put the kettle on his lap. Now, said Owl, I will begin. Owl sat very still. He began to think of things that were sad. Chairs with broken legs, said Owl. His eyes began to water. Songs that cannot be sung, said Owl, because the words have been forgotten. Owl began to cry. A large tear rolled down and dropped into the kettle. Spoons that have fallen behind the stove and are never seen again, said Owl. More tears dropped down into the kettle. Books that cannot be read, said Owl, because some of the pages have been torn out. Clocks that have stopped with no one near to wind them up. Owl was crying. Many large tears dropped into the kettle. Mornings nobody saw because everybody was sleeping, sobbed Owl. Mashed potatoes left on a plate, he cried, because no one wanted to eat them, and pencils that are too short to use. Owl thought about many other sad things. He cried and cried. Soon the kettle was all filled up with tears. There, said Owl, that does it. Owl stopped crying. He put the kettle on the stove to boil for tea. Owl felt happy as he filled his cup. It tastes a little bit salty, he said, but tearwater tea is always very good. While I look for the next section, I wonder, do you ever find there are times you're just overwhelmed and maybe you could hold on to a toy teapot or tea kettle and toss in pieces of paper for the things that have you upset? Seems like Owl has a pretty good idea there. I always thought Owl was very wise in this story, and he'll be wise in this story too. This is the last story in the book, Owl and the Moon. One night, Owl went down to the seashore. He sat on a large rock and looked out at the waves. Everything was dark, and then a small tip of the moon came up over the edge of the sea. Owl watched the moon. It climbed higher and higher into the sky, and soon the whole round moon was shining. Owl sat on the rock and looked up at the moon for a long time. If I am looking at you, moon, then you must be looking back at me. We must be good friends. The moon did not answer. But Owl said, I will come back and see you again, moon. But now I must go home. Owl walked down the path. He looked up at the sky. The moon was still there. It was following him. No, no, moon, said Owl. It is kind of you to light my way, but you must stay up over the sea, where you look so fine. Owl walked on a little farther. he looked at the sky again. There was the moon coming right along with him. "Dear moon," said Owl, "you really must not come home with me. My house is small. You would not fit through the door. And I have nothing to give you for supper." Owl kept on walking. The moon sailed after him over the tops of the trees. "Moon," said Owl, "I think that you do not hear me." Owl climbed to the top of a hill. He shouted as loudly as he could, "Good-bye, moon!" The moon went behind some clouds. Owl looked and looked. The moon was gone. "It is always a little sad to say goodbye to a friend," said Owl. Owl came home. He put on his pajamas and went to bed. The room was very dark. Owl was still feeling sad. All at once, Owl's bedroom was filled with silver light. Owl looked out of the window. The moon was coming from behind the clouds. "Moon, you have followed me all the way home. What a good round friend you are," said Owl. Then Owl put his head on the pillow and closed his eyes. The moon was shining down through the window. Owl did not feel sad at all. I think a lot of us are at home like Owl was. And not all of us are necessarily happy about being alone, just like Owl wasn't at the end. But just like the moon shines through the window, I think we all have chances to be in touch with one another, and we all miss you here at the library. And we can't wait till you can be back here with us. But for now, we're shining through each other's windows, and we'll look forward to seeing you again. Thanks for tuning in.